Yesterday's conspiracy theories, tomorrow's headlines. Most are still asleep and I ain't talking about no bedtime. The truth is not a Google search, you need to get your head right. The Greek goddess of illusion was called Media I'm not a coincidence theorist, I look for thread lines. Smashing every deadline, no longer smashing red wine. Though I can hear the bells chime, it feels like the end times. That probably should have been smashed on red wine. But the carnal mind is foolish, obey and end up ghoulish. Don't get used by instinct, take control and learn to use it. Make a load of earnest music, earn a few quid, learn a few tricks. Sure, the truth is persecuted, this whole world is pure abusive. Know a bit about everything and everything about nothing. Figured out my noggin while you picture out shopping. You sit about watching while I dish it out, stop it. I don't mean to sound cocky, I'm not even proud of it. It's a second itch to me just to be this out honest. I don't even need to sound honest, never been about profit. Everything but out on it, you can bet your house on it. Doubt I'll be out for the count when the sounds and I'm down for the beat, no beat down. I mean, how long's it been? Help me out. I've been the only one who's held me down. All in the mind, hell freeze now. Still sick with it, healthy how? Few bars down and the world freaked out. I don't reach out, I seek out to speak out. I'ma recount the reasons they beat out.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm your host, Joseph Daniel Pena. Welcome to my channel, 509 Divine Pines, and this is my first segment of 5D News. And I will be talking about some recent quantum news in the world. And go ahead, enjoy, relax, get some weed, get some friends, get some drink. And, this will be quick and easy, but just a nice, simple update on the world. And like, subscribe, share this, tell your friends. Like I said, check down the link below for my link tree. Go ahead. I need some donations. I need some views on my Instagram page. I need some views on all my socials. That's how we do it. We go ahead and share this ourselves. We share with our friends. Hey, man, this is going to be some good news. And look, like, the world is just getting so dry with that Hollywood shit. Oh, this guy fought with this one cheated on this one did this, who, that, fuck all that. Man, this is going to be some real news that I'm going to give to you that you may not really be seeing on your normal feed. All right. Hey, enjoy. First and foremost is China and their fusion reactor. Yes, people have been talking about that. There's been many posts. It's been going on for a few years now. But let me tell you that it first started in the year 2000. It was a Tomahawk. I don't even know. Whatever. It's a fusion reactor. And this thing is hotter than the sun. So just think about that. We're making technology that's hotter than our sun. Wow, that's pretty fascinating. Am I right? Or is it dangerous? Who knows? But we have to be aware of this, because if we just think about the thermogenetic state of our atmosphere, it's being played with. Like, the temperature is being played with around our globe, because this isn't the only fusion reactor they have. I believe I've seen another one in England. And hey, if I'm gonna be honest, they probably have a dozen of these already that are just firing up right now. And maybe that's why the world is getting weird weather. Who knows that or HARP. Let me go on. China has finished researching and developing more than 80% of key technology in fusion energy. It is expected to use the fusion power in the next 30 to 50 years. A Chinese scientist told the Global Times in an exclusive interview, China is constructing a new grand research facility for fusion technology. The Comprehensive Research Facility for Fusion Technology, or better known as CRAFT, which is expected to be completed by 2025, based on Kraft and the experimental advanced superconducting tokamak. That's what it is. It's called the tokamak 2.0. The 1.0 was built in the year 2000, just right before the plane towers. You know, anyways, or the Chinese artificial sun. We are planning to build a compact fusion energy experimental reactor to realize the burning of plasma and produce fusion energy, laying a solid foundation for future fusion reactor construction. Hu Jiansheng, Deputy Director of Institute of Plasma Physics at Hefei Institutes of Physical Science, told the Global Times, after the compact experimental reactor, Hu said he hopes the construction of Chinese fusion engineering test reactor CFETR, so CFETR, could be started as soon as possible, aiming at fusion development and application. With all these years of development all over the world, the scientific feasibility of fusion power has been proved. So far, China has finished more than 80% of the key technology research and development. If the construction of CFETR gets a green light, it's expected that we could achieve the application of fusion energy in about 30 to 50 years. The institute, which developed the artificial sun, is working on a new round of experiments in the tokamak and has preliminary obtained plasma. The main target of the experiment was to be among the first to sustain the high confinement plasma for 400 seconds and conduct plasma heating experiment. Who said the institute is soliciting global experimental proposals for tokamak to strengthen international cooperation, explore advanced operation, and conduct in-depth research on key physics of plasma, provide scientific and technological verification for future fusion reactors construction and operations. The tokamak has set a new world record by running for 1,056 seconds at high plasma temperatures during an experiment in December this last year, 2021, the longest discharge of its kind in the world. It had scored a previous record of achieving a plasma temperature of 120 million degrees Celsius for 100 degrees. So they just made this last maybe 10 times longer, probably with the computer chips and the time crystals that are coming up. And this was just recently. Oh, well, sorry. I had those reversed. Yeah, well, yeah, never mind. You get it. Never mind. You get it. It the 101 seconds was in May 2021, and the new record was in December 2021. Sorry. Okay. All these achievements showed that East successfully proved a series of key technology of future fusion reactor, and the East is leading the world in long pulse operation. Who said it was also demonstrated the feasibility and viability of a series of key technologies applicable for future fusion reactor. Who said future fusion reactor will create energy like the sun using tritium and deuterium abound in the sea to provide a steady stream of clean energy. Remember, in my post, fusion Helion energy, go check it out if you want to know more about what they're talking about with this tritium and deuterium in the sea. Hey, all right, now once fusion energy is successfully produced, it can provide mankind with sustainable clean energy and can completely replace fossil energy. It is of great significance for China to build a new consumption energy system dominated by green and low carbon energy and fulfill China's commitment of having CO2 emissions peak by 2030 and carbon neutrality by 2060. The Institute has established intergovernmental fusion framework agreements with countries including Japan, South Korea, and Russia. Established stable cooperation with more than 120 international research institutions and organizations and signed 39 formal cooperation agreements with the most important fusion research institutes. In recent years, the number of tokamak international experiments proposals accounted for 46% of total proposals, and tokamak has become a global, open, and shared international experiment benchmarking device. Who said that is the end of the clip. So I'm not saying that but we have to be aware of these technologies. These technologies can play a factor. As look, I'm right by Hanford, which is a nuclear reactor, and let's just say that these dudes want to pour a couple $1 trillion in and just tear down Hanford and then put like a new fusion reactor in replace of it. I'm gonna kind of have to be aware, that maybe, oh, that's why it kind of feels a little more chilly, or maybe it's a little more hotter. I mean, they're playing with 120 million degrees Celsius of heat. I mean, who knows the ripple effect on that? It's not probably won't cause a storm like instantly, but I'm sure eventually, like, there's gonna be ripples in the environment that who knows what type of effect may have. Like the fish may disappear in certain areas, or the birds may disappear, or who knows. I just found this mm, pretty cool, and it was an update on the nuclear reactor because it came out, as they said, in December 2021, and people were all up in fuss and all up in a roar about it. And I will admit I kind of jumped on it, but I'm glad I had some time to uh read a little bit more into it and to hear what they had to say, because it could just be one of those middle grade technologies. Like, it's not good, it's not overwhelmingly good or overwhelmingly bad. It's, or maybe just good, and who knows, it may just be bad. All right, moving on. Scientists resurrect ancient enzymes in hopes to replenish Earth's agriculture systems by the year 2050. So if you see, there's an agenda. Well, we know well ahead there's Agenda 2052, and the Russians want to have AI technology by 2050. And you know, the globalists, the $1 trillion elites, and the World Economic Forum, and all of them, and who, yeah, they have an agenda by 2050, which I may think that is the timeline set by Palladian ancestors. Anyways, so this agenda by 2050 is to either kill us all or heal us all, one or the other, whichever you choose, I guess, right? And whichever route makes itself well known to us. And I guess it really depends on where we live, really. Anyways, there's an agenda by 2050, and they're tackling it really hard. So this is good right here. This is a very good story. So don't think that like everything is all doom and gloom, or maybe have it not. Scientists resurrect ancient enzymes to improve photosynthesis. This was on April 18th, 2022, by Cornell University. A new study adapting plants to rapid climate changes and increasing yields to feed a projected 9 billion people by 2050. A Cornell University study describes this amazing breakthrough. The study improving the efficiency of Rubisco by resurrecting its ancestors in the family Solanaceae, which is nightshade. And I did a little bit of research on nightshade. That thing is used by shamans and witches as either a deterrent or a poison. And it's known by the Romans and all the kings and emperors around the world as, one of, or I guess here's a different thing. You can get high off it because of how toxic it is. Like, you just use a little bit of it, so it gets you super high, right? So I guess it's a very cherished plant, and more scientists are finding out this plant and is fucking old. This is not a family show. um, Published April 15th in Science Advances. The senior author is Maureen Hansen, the Liberty Hyde Bailey Professor of Plant Molecular Biology in the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. First author, Maya Lin, is a postdoctoral research associate in Hansen's lab. The authors developed a computational technique to predict favorable gene sequences to make Rubisco, a key plant enzyme for photosynthesis. The technique be engineered into modern crops. So they want to make all of our time that's found across all plants. Researchers predicted Rubisco genes when Earth's carbon dioxide enzymes in plants were adapted to those back then, a long time ago. By resurrecting ancient Rubisco, early results show promise for developing faster, more efficient Rubisco enzymes to incorporate into crops and help them adapt to hot, dry future conditions as human activities are increasing heating, trapping CO2 gases, concentrations on Earth arise in Earth's atmosphere. The study describes predictions of 98 Rubisco enzymes at key moments in the evolutionary history of plants in the Solanaceae plant nightshade, which include tomatoes, peppers, potatoes, eggplant, and tobacco. Wow. Okay. Just think about those: tomatoes, peppers, potatoes, eggplant, tobacco. You find those very common. We were able to identify predicted ancestral enzymes that do have superior qualities compared to the current day enzymes. And why I'd said that they are all, commonly found is that I didn't know that they were all respectively in the nightshade family, which is one of the oldest families and well-respected families. Tomatoes and peppers and potatoes are in like Mexicans' diets every day. And tobacco is used by a lot of people like around the world for protection and spirituality. Interesting. Okay. So we were able to identify predicted ancestral enzymes that do have superior qualities compared to current day enzymes. Hansen said, Lin developed the new techniques for identifying predicted ancient Rubisco enzymes. Scientists have known that they can increase crop yields by accelerating photosynthesis, where plants convert CO2, water, and light into oxygen and sugars that plants use for energy and for building new tissues. For many years, researchers have focused on Rubisco, a slow enzyme that pulls or fixes carbon from CO2 to create sugars. Aside from being slow, Rubisco also sometimes catalyzes a reaction with oxygen in the air. By doing so, it creates a toxic byproduct, wastes energy, and makes photosynthesis inefficient. Hansen's lab had previously tried to use Rubisco from blue-green algae. I'm not going to say the real name. I can't say it. So blue-green algae, which is faster but also reacts readily with oxygen, forcing the researchers to try to create micro compartments to protect the enzyme from oxygen. With mixed results, other researchers have tried to engineer more optimal Rubisco by making changes in the enzyme's amino acids, though little was known about which changes would lead to desired results. In this study, Lin reconstructed a phylogeny, a tree-like diagram showing evolutionary relatedness among groups of organisms of Rubisco using Solanaceae plants. By getting a lot of genetic sequences of Rubisco in existing plants, a phylogenetic tree could be constructed to figure out which Rubiscos likely existed 20 to 30 million years ago. The advantages of identifying potential ancient Rubisco sequences that carbon dioxide levels were possibly as high as 500 to 800 million parts per million in the atmosphere 25 to 50 million years ago. Today, heat trapping CO2 levels are rising sharply due to many human activities, with current measurements at around 420 parts per million, after staying relatively constant under 300 parts per million for hundreds of millennia. So you got to think about it. Like up until 50 years ago, our planet was sitting at 300 parts per million carbon in the air, or CO2. And now it's at 420, 1/3, a little bit more than 1/3 higher. Now, let's just say that in another 50 years, that doubles. That's gonna put us up into what our ancient ancestors were, which is probably why they're trying to change our genes with these mRNAs. Maybe I think that's kind of a dang. Anyway, so just be protected, be prepared, and be expecting a change in CO2 levels and a constant increase. We have to adapt to it. We have to adapt, and we have to prepare our body and our mind. Lynn Hansen and colleagues then used an experimental systems developed for tobacco enhanced lab described in a 2020 Nature Plants paper, which employs E. coli bacteria to test in a single day the efficiency of different versions of Herbisco. Similar tests done in plants to take months to verify. The team found that ancient Herbisco enzymes predicted from modern-day Solanaceae plants showed real promise for being more efficient. For the next step, we want to replace the genes in the existing Herbisco enzyme in tobacco with these ancestral sequences using CRISPR technology, and then measure how it affects the production of biomass. We certainly hope that our experiments will show that adapting Herbisco to present-day conditions will have plants that will give greater yields. If their method proves successful, these efficient Robusco sequences could be transferred into crops such as tomatoes, as well as those in other families such as soybeans and rice. This study was developed by the U.S. Department of Energy, so at Cornell, and that's a little in gene editing technologies, and remember, it's sponsored by the government. Now, let's just say that these dudes are that they are trying to help our planet and our body and our and our health and let's you know let's not just throw the knives and call them. Sometimes we need to you know